Hey, what's up, everybody, and welcome to the Focus on Greatness podcast. I am your host, Hiram Roche, and it is always an honor to be here with my Greatness tribe. Hey, listen, man, we have been throughout these past couple weeks and months, I would even dare to say now, we have been on this journey talking about the context of changing our system, specifically talking about the changing of the system when it comes in reference to how we feel about ourselves and how we see ourselves and how we function. And this journey has been great. We started off talking about the system of thinking, and now we have been in the month of June, we have been dealing with this system talking about our emotions, or, yeah, dealing with our emotions and our feelings. More so dealing with specifically our emotional aspect of it and how these two tie together in the system that we have. And so we've in laying this out, I want to always go back and give us some definition context so we can all be on the same page of where we are, because I don't know where you are listening in the journey of this conversation, because it's been a great conversation. It's been so helpful for me, and I know it's been helpful for you, because these conversations are allowing us step by step to be able to take some time to look at these things, do some examination, make some adjustments, so now we know what we're looking for. And I think that that is a part of these conversations, is to be able to focus on specific things that we can make adjustments and changes in. So what we've started talking about is, again, talking about this concept of a system. So let me define what a system is so we can all be on the same page. A system is a collection of interconnected parts that work together to achieve a common goal. Again, a system is a collection of interconnected parts that work together to achieve a common goal. Within both me and yourself, there is a system that works. And this system is shaped for you to, again, achieve a common goal. The commonality is all the pieces and intricate pieces that function inside that system. That system then communicates one with another inside this system. All the parts talk to each other to say, this is what we're trying to achieve. Now, reality is, where we are now in our life is because of the system that we have. So the goals, the things that we're going after, the stuff that we have achieved, the stuff that we have on our list to achieve, some of the things that we have been afraid to go after, all of those different variety of things that go on in our life is because of the system that we have created. And so what we have been doing in this journey is now going against that system to now create a new system because of where we are trying to go. Again, it's all based upon the goals that we are trying to achieve. It's a common goal. The internal thing that you are saying to all the parts of your system is saying, this is where we're trying to go. And so what we're now doing is re-looking at, where do you want to go, and is the system, because, okay, let me pause here and I'm gonna say it this way. Is the place, the destination that you have been going into, again, this is our system that we've been dealing with, is the area or the direction you've been going into when it comes to not just your work life. I'm talking about relationships, all the parts that come with who you are, right? Is the direction that you have been currently going on, is that getting you to the same place that you say on that you talk about that you want to hit? Because sometimes those two dynamics can be different. I can be saying on one end, this is where I want to be able to go, and I'm talking about it, and I'm saying this to people. And then there can be a way internally that my system is saying, this is actually where we're going. Like, this is what you're saying to people, but that's not the direction that we're going. What we want to do is make sure that the thing that we are communicating that we want to go after, the goal that we want to achieve, is matching with the system that we create within our own self. So then this adjustment needs to be able to be happening. So again, we talked about what a system is, but now we want to understand, and again, I'm just giving us some brief definitions so we can all be on the same page of where we are currently, is how does emotions play a part in that system? So emotions can play a part in a system, as they can influence how people interact with the system, and how they make decisions. So again, here's the main part is how you interact with the system and how you make decisions. So again, your emotions is this part where it's easily moved by the system. It's functioning and flowing with the system, right? But it also moves you to make certain decisions. So certain things that you have decided to do is because of your emotions. Your emotions played a part in that, right? So here's the thing, so that we can stay on this course of these different systems. The first system we dealt with, pieces of the system that we dealt with was the thinking. Now we're dealing with the emotions, which both of these are part of the system. So how does those two connect? The thinking and the emotions. How does those systems connect? The system of thinking and the system of emotions are connected in the brain through various neural pathways. Emotions can influence our thoughts. We know this. And our thoughts can influence our emotions. So these two, they play back and forth. And what ends up happening, which is going to be the next thing that we look at or deal with, a part of this system, what ends up happening is as these two, the thought process and your emotions play back and forth in this system, what ends up happening is it starts then to create a belief system. It starts to create what you believe about yourself, what you believe about what you can achieve, what you believe about how you think about situations, what you believe about X, Y, or Z. So these two things start playing a part because, again, your thought process plays off of your emotions, and your emotions play back onto your thought process. And it's a continual cycle in this middle part, which then starts to create a belief system. This is what I believe this goes like. This is how this functions. So while we've been talking about our emotions, what we've been leaning into and dealing with is we dealt with some of the negative connotations that we have been talking about or saying to ourselves. We've dealt with the self talk, we've dealt with the negative thought processes, we've dealt with all of these pieces, which all of those things in the emotional system help to create the way that you see yourself. It helps to create how you function with your future. It helps to create that. So it tells you this is how I feel we can be able to do this. This is what I feel that you look like, or how you feel about yourself, or are you good enough, or can you achieve this, can you not? We dealt with all of those contexts, which brings us to where we are today, which I personally believe in the system of emotions. I believe that this is so vitally important, which is building your self esteem. I'm going to say it again, building your self esteem. That is so vitally important to when it comes to your me and your future. Why is that important? Because if we are not developing, building, strengthening our self esteem, then what we hear is this statement called low self esteem. And neither nor yourself want to be able to have low self esteem. So here is what self esteem is defined as: it's defined as a confidence or satisfaction in oneself. It's basically self respect. So I'm going to read it again. When we talk about self esteem, this is what we're building. We're building self esteem within our own selves. So here it is: it's a confidence and satisfaction in oneself, self respect. Here, let me make it more plain. It's you just being happy with you feeling comfortable with you being confident in who you are, how you think, and what you bring to the table. Now, as we build along this, yes, there are going to be moments in time where we make adjustments. But at the end of the day, building this self-esteem is saying you are good enough. You are strong. You are whatever that is. You are smart enough. You are able to achieve these things. It's building my self-confidence, the confidence within myself, to be able to say, I can do, I can be, I can walk in, I can be able to have, I can be able to obtain. These are the things that I'm doing while I'm building up my self esteem. Now, I'm going to just read something that I put in my notes. Self esteem is a crucial aspect of a man's life and can greatly impact his relationships, career, and overall well being. As men, we often feel pressure to perform and succeed in every area of our lives, which can lead to feelings of inadequacy and low self worth. Because why? It's so many different things around us that's pulling from us. And sometimes we can get into a posture or in a position where we feel like I cannot do all of this. Man, this is so much for me. It's overwhelming. And then what starts to happen is that negative voice within yourself starts to try to speak up and say, well, the reason why you can't handle it is because you're not good enough, because you're not strong enough, because you're not X, because you're not this. And so, in this moment of where we're talking about building our self esteem, we have to be able to have the confidence to say, oh, no, I got, well, that didn't work, but they ain't gonna do me. Like, no, I can do that. No, I can achieve that. It's not cocky, it's confidence. Again, let me say it again. I'm not cocky, I'm confident. It's nothing wrong with me being confident in who I am. Now, this is why I can be able to be confident. David writes this context in Psalms 139 and 14. And this is what David says. I praise you, talking about him praising unto God. I praise you because I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Your works are wonderful, and I know that full well. What is David saying? Listen, I'm so thankful that when you made me a specific type of way. I may not look like the vessel next to me. I may not look like the person that walks next to me. I may not look like the man that's walking down the street. I may not even look like the person that is functioning in some of the things that I want to do in my life. And I'm grateful for that because why? The way you built me, the way you made me, the way you designed me is so wonderful. It's so beautiful. It's so great. I'm so grateful for it. You made me the way that I needed to be made for the journey and the destiny that I was called to be able to walk in. And I'm grateful for that. What is that? I'm so confident. Not in my own ability. No, I'm confident that when he made me with everything that I needed to do exactly what he called me to do. I'm confident in that. I'm building. What am I doing? I'm building up my self-esteem. I'm building my confidence. And a lot of the way that I'm able to build my confidence is I'm reminded of who created me. I'm reminded of all the aspects of who I am. Yes, there are times in my life where I'm afraid. Or there are times in my life where I feel like I cannot achieve this. Have there's been times in my journey where I feel like, man, I wish I had X, Y, and Z. I could do that then. But there's some of the things that I've realized in my journey is that some of the things that I thought that I was not strong enough to handle, some of the things that I thought that I was not smart enough to be able to comprehend, some of the things that I thought that I was not wise enough to be able to talk into or speak into, I've realized that none of that some of that stuff wasn't even truthful, but I didn't know how strong I was until I went under certain things. I did not know how wise the wisdom that I had until I had to have certain conversations. I didn't realize those things, but now since I have went through certain situations or certain circumstances in my life, now I can be able to say, like David did when he was talking with Saul in a conversation where he is about to fight Goliath. David standing before Saul as a teenage boy about to fight this huge giant that is strong and has terrified other men. David stands before Saul and he says unto Saul, listen, I fought a bear and I beat his behind. I fought a lion and I whooped his behind because they were trying to come after my sheep. They was trying to come after my father's sheep and I was able to protect them. from these different wild beasts and things. So I know that I have strength to be able to defeat this Goliath that's coming against the Lamb of God or the sons of God. I understand that I can be able to do this. Why? Because I'm confident in the strength that I've been able to develop over the years, that I've been able to recognize within myself. So, what is he doing? He's talking about the confidence that he was able to build, and now he's able to communicate it clearly to others. One of the ways that we can start looking at building our self esteem, building this confidence within us about ourselves, is I want you to start examining stuff that you thought was difficult in your past and realize what you've overcome. Realize some of the things that you thought you could not achieve in your past, and realize the strength that you had, the wisdom that you had, the insight that you had, the abilities that you had. And while you're doing that, you start building your confidence to know, oh, I can achieve this. Just like I was in that season where I felt like I could not do it, this is another season that something is standing before me that I feel like I don't have the strength, the ability, the power, the know-how to be able to walk into. But if this is for me, which I know it is, if this is for me, then I can be able to walk in this. Why? Because again, David says in Psalms 139 and 14, I am fearfully and wonderfully made. God did not make a mistake in the way that he designed me or made me. God did not make a mistake in making sure that I've had the type of pressures that I've dealt with over my life. God didn't make no mistake. So because God didn't make no mistake, I can be confident in my ability. Now, let me clear this also because I want to make sure that someone can hear this. Is sometimes we start looking back, and what we can start looking at is, yeah, I remember when I went through this, I broke down. And I remember when I went through this, I couldn't even speak into that, or I couldn't even do this, or I didn't have the ability to do that. Don't look at every situation as a blanket statement. And this is still a part of helping us to build this confidence, this self-esteem within our own selves. I'm going to give you some other pieces in a minute, but I want to make sure that we have this part because it's important for us. The part is when we're looking at our past, when we're looking at different things, sometimes we look at everything in a blank statement, a blank sheet, right? Which is not. It's not a blank sheet, but in reference to where we look at everything equal. Everything is on the same level playing field. But it's not. Some things we have to be able to realize that there are things that we have went after, and sometimes it was difficult. But here's the wonderful part about it is some things we have went after and it just wasn't time for us to walk in it. It's not that we were not strong enough to achieve it. Now, there are certain things that we probably have went after that wasn't actually for us to go after. We just liked it or just wanted to do it so bad, but it really wasn't something that we were supposed to actually walk in. So some things that we have that we have went through in the past or went to try to achieve in the past was not because we were not wise enough, or it's not because we were not supposed to go after. Sometimes it's because we didn't have the right tools to do it. And then sometimes is because you ain't supposed to do that. And if I would have let you go down that way, or if you would have been able to achieve that, then it would have took you in a whole different path, and you would have might missed other opportunities or moments because you achieved that. So we have to be able to look at those type of things in so many different dynamics, because everything has a reason. Everything is a learning lesson, right? So if everything is a lesson that we can be able to learn, success and failures, then we have to be able to look at those things in different perspectives. But emotionally, what ends up happening is when we see those different scenarios in our lives, emotionally, it tells us, see, this is why I said we're not good enough. But then I can be able to speak back to my emotions in building my confidence, building my self esteem, and letting myself know, no, you got that. No, man, you can do that. You got that. You are strong enough to achieve that. Yes, you got a great support system that you can be able to do X, Y, and Z. No, no, listen, I'm telling you, you are wise enough to be able to walk in that room. No, I got what you're saying. I understand you messed up a couple times, but let me build you back up. Let me build you up to let you know, hey, the dream that you have within yourself, you can be able to achieve it. I don't care how old you are. I don't care how young you are. I don't care where you are in your life. I don't care how many times you feel like you've messed up or that you have not succeeded in certain things. I promise you, you are able to be able to do great things. How do I know that? Because the way that God designed you was for you to be able to achieve greatness. Do you understand? That's why this podcast is considered and called the Focus on Greatness podcast. Why? Because the greatness that's within you is the ability to be able to serve. And the ability that you have to be able to serve, you can be able to develop that to do it great. And the way that you're able to do that is you have to be confident in yourself enough to be able to recognize and know that I have the ability within me to be able to serve in my profession, in my dreams, in my relationships, with my money, with the goals that I have, the things that I want to achieve. I can serve that great. I have it within me to do it. I now have to develop that. I got to strengthen that. But I have the ability to do anything that stands before me. That's confidence. Okay, let me give you this. Romans chapter 12, verses 3. This is what it says. It says, "For by the grace given me, I say to every one of you," hear what it's saying, "do not think of yourself more highly than you ought to, but rather think of yourself with sober judgment." I'm gonna deal with this in a minute. In accordance with the with the faith in God, faith God has distributed to each of you. Now, hear what I'm saying. Hear what I'm saying. When I say the dynamic between confidence and cocky or arrogance, arrogance is you thinking too much of yourself. It's a balance. Arrogance says, cocky says, I'm I'm thinking too much of myself. I have put myself on such a high pedestal in my own life that ain't nobody can tell me. It's a balance. But here it says, think of yourself with sober judgment, with a balance. Yes, we're going to look at it in reality. And reality is, yeah, I need help here, here, here. But I can do this though. No, I got this. I love it's a man by the name of Pastor Darius Daniels. I love his ministry. Uh, I love his ministry. I love his ministry style. I love his teachings. All of those different dynamics. And there's a statement that he makes when he's talking about Jesus. And this is what he says. And this is going to help us. This is what he says. He says, when everything that we have read about or heard about when it comes to Jesus, specifically when we're talking about in the Gospels, when we're talking about in the Gospels, the storyline or the statements that we hear about who Jesus is, I'll give it 95% of it. He told you. He told you that he was the bread of life. He told you that no one can get to the Father but by him. He told you that he was the Son of God. He told you, let this body die, and in 3 days I'm gonna rise it back up. He told you about himself, confidence. But he also said, there's certain things I can't do. What do you mean? The disciple says, hey, they had their mom come and talk to Jesus and said, hey, listen, my sons, I know they following you and they've been rocking with you for a minute. And so I just want to be able to ask, both of my sons, when you get up to heaven, when you get in your throne room, sit in that seat. Can I have one son sitting on your right and another son sitting on your left? And this is what Jesus says in a nutshell. One, you don't even know what you're asking about. But here's the other main piece. I can't give that to you. Wait a minute, you're Jesus. No, that's above me. That's a level above me. I can't, if I start trying to think that I can be able to deal with things that at that level, that takes me out of my zone, out of my balance. I know who I am and I know who he is. And that means that there are certain things that I'm responsible and I know and I'm confident that I can be able to achieve and I can be able to do and I can give you an answer for. But there's certain things that's above my level. Majority of the time, I would say that I feel like when we start getting into the lean of moving out of confidence and moving into cockiness is when we start thinking or trying to make ourselves feel like we can do stuff that's above our strength and ability. Let me clarify. We can do stuff that in our life God does. There's a level that you have. There's a control that you have. There's a strength that you have. There's a power that you have. There's a thought process, a wisdom, and all of those tools and abilities that you have at the level that you play in this game called life. But when we get into that cocky is when we feel like I don't need nobody. I can do this thing all by myself. You cocky because you can't. There's nothing in this world that you per se can't do by yourself. Not when you talk about trying to build something or trying to go after something great. You can't do that by yourself. Because if you say you can do that by yourself, then that means you don't need books, you don't need support, you don't need finances from other people to be able to do what you're trying. You don't need teaching, you don't need guidance. No, you can't do that by yourself. So when you talk in that language, you cocky, you arrogant, you prideful. But confidence say, I have the ability to be able to do this. I have the wisdom to be able to do this. I need assistance in getting there. I might need some help here, some help here. I might need some guidance here. I might need some a mentor in this level. I might need some finances for this. But those are other pieces. But I can build my self-confidence in myself to be able to say, oh no, I can do this. Now, this plays a tail end from our last conversation where we dealt with this, and I stated to us to start creating a confession, start creating some words of affirmation where we are building this self-esteem. And the way that we do that is we start speaking words back into our lives that says, you are strong, you are wise, you can be able to accomplish anything that is placed before you. You have the wisdom to be able to understand everything, the things that are laid before you. You have the devotion to be able to study. You can be able to see and you have insight to be able to look into these things. Whatever your thing is, you find the language that you need and build that self esteem, build that confidence within yourself. You have the ability to do that. And when we start shaping this and when we start doing this, what this does is it goes against and knocks against the door of the system that we might have created, the negative systems that we have created within ourselves that has been telling us you're not good enough. You cannot achieve that. They don't want you. They don't need you. You couldn't even help them if you wanted to. Like that negative thought process that goes through your mind. What we build now is we're building self-esteem. We're building the confidence. We're building this within us because we are going after a goal that we are going to be great at. As we walk through this journey, we're going somewhere where it's going to change our lives and the lives of those that are a part of our lives and those that we are called to serve. Because why? We're the greatness tribe. And this is exactly what we do. So, homework assignment is this. If you're driving in your car, if you're taking a walk, if you're listening to this at the house, if you're watching me live, this is your assignment. I'm going to echo it again. Build you some affirmations, create them, write it, Take some sticky notes, put it on your mirror so you can see it in the morning while you're brushing your teeth, washing your face. Put it in your car so you can be able to see something in your car, wherever, however you have to be able to remind or see, so you can remind yourself of who you are. Make sure you do it, and add this context to you. If you got to do it, add this context to your life. Psalms 139 and 14. There's so many other various of scriptures in the Bible that allows us to be able to know how God made us and how God sees us and how strong you are and how powerful you are. There's so many contexts of scripture. So if you need this, Psalms 139 and 14, again, David states, I praise you because I am fearfully and wonderfully made. I love you, family. And as always, I'll see you next time right here on the Focus on Greatness podcast. Talk to you later. Bye bye.